All right. Good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Tuesday, June 4th. As of course, you could tell this is not Fausto. I got the hot tag from him this morning. For any of our new attendees on YouTube, Josh Levitan here. Have a face for radio just at 9 o'clock. I'll be good to go for our weekly workshop at 11 o'clock Eastern. Great to see Lee, Grant, Leda, Margaret, Brian, Patrick, Lawrence, Michael, Bell, Andrea, Michael. Got a bunch of us just joining us inside our live trading room. About 109 of us and counting. So great to have all of them there and all of us back on social media as well. Like I said just previously, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. All of our social media handles here, that being at Cyber Trading U. I still got a couple messed up fingers here. At least I'll get that fixed in a week or so. But there we go. Lower left at Cyber Trading U. Now, with that in mind, hey, this MLGO is actually a great trade just beforehand here. And we don't have enough time to explain really the ins and out of this move. We'll have the time to explain this move, at least in our weekly workshop coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning, folks, for all of us simultaneously here on YouTube and inside our live trading room. We have our weekly workshop Traders Talk. You know, it's really the best outlet outside of our main education, our main curriculum, as far as really digging deep, knowing what we're doing, why we're doing it, you know, how to do it all. So for all of us on YouTube, especially that aren't familiar with CTU, you know, here's my email. You'll see on the lower left popping now up there, josh@ctutrading.com. Any questions that you have for our workshop coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern, definitely let me know. I've made that, alert, that post inside our trading room just earlier. So for Grant, Charlene, Lawrence, you certainly know best. But for any of our new trial members just joining us here, well, there you go. There's my email address right there too, josh@ctutrading.com. Any questions, any detailed trades you'd want to go over, let me know before 11 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll begin our Traders Talk workshop right then. Now, we'll definitely be covering MLGO. Pretty good time to take the money, I'd say, right? That was pretty good timing to take the money right around 470-ish, 475. I think Andre got out right around there too, my friend. How'd he do on that trade? He got out at 484, in at 444. So he took some good money, at least himself, too. So we'll cover why we were focused on this trade, not just across the morning, but at the time in which we were looking at it as it was moving back up, but more importantly, the entry behind it all. So that'll be at 11 o'clock this morning. Even with this pulling back right now, I still like the stock. I'm going to put this on our watch list to begin. Now, let me ask, is anyone here familiar with MLGO? For Abdul, Bell, Lawrence, Leonard, any of us here in chat right now, have you traded this stock before? Have you traded this MLGO stock before? Do you recall it? And might I say welcome, Julian. Thank you. One of our new members joining us here. A lot of us saying no, and that's okay, right? There's a first time for everything, right? So, no, the reason I ask is because, well, for those that may be familiar with it, just take one look at the daily chart. Any of these larger spikes here that you see on the daily chart, we traded this stock. Has this been a good swing trade? That's the point. So, yes, this is a good day trade. This is not at all a swing trade. It is a pop and drop stock. I guarantee you this stock is going to dump right back down at some point today, if not tomorrow. So, I'm not running the risk of holding it as much, but we'll look to just try and day trade it pretty quickly. Put the MLGO just on our list to begin. Another stock, though, that we will cover in our workshop today, that'll be GPCR. Where's my student Yehuda? I'll be working with him one-on-one just later on today. This was a great trade. He actually shorted it right near the highs as it was pulling back. And hey, I saw his trade and I was like, wow, that's a pretty interesting thought, and it was the right time. It was the right time for it, the right opportunity. I ended up taking this, and we'll cover this trade in full from long to short, at least in Traders Talk as well later on this morning. This stock, I think, is a weight loss drug stock. I saw the news out just afterwards. We missed this entire run, to be honest with you. The whole run up, we actually missed because it was lower volume, very thin order book. So we were trading at the time just stocks that had better liquidity, stocks that likely were making as good of a move, but just had tighter spreads, more volume on the book. And for that reason, this totally flew under our radar. I really didn't see this until Yehuda had posted it just earlier in the afternoon when he took a short, got a couple points on the way down. And that's what led to me to think about that. And we'll cover this trade at least later on this morning. Now, for this trade now, the GPCR, it's flat. It's trading 47,000 shares. There's going to be a lot better stocks across the gainers and losers list here that we'll look to follow. Hey, great to have Warren with us here on YouTube. Warren S., one of our students of C2, actually joining us on YouTube today. Sour memories, he says, on the MLGO stock, I believe, right? MLGO. So it goes to show it is a pop and drop stock, as is the case with like all of these stocks. So you look at the gainers list here, the float, very low float stocks normally, these trades are. So, you know what? One more stock we'll get to here before we do go across the gainer side there, NVAX. What a machine NVAX has been and this has been seemingly in hindsight, a swing trade to work with. From the beginning move here where they announced some drug with COVID-19 vaccine and it led to a higher high the next candle. Well, from that point, it was a gap fill. This stock ended up filling a pretty good gap on the daily chart. It was right back from here. Ended up filling said gap back from the end of 22, and then it broke above it. It ended up, using that as support just yesterday, and it tried to make a nice run. So, pretty good push yesterday into the close, into the morning more so. Now today, again, hey, trading a lot more volume, 153,000 shares. Still, though, no real trend. So this stock will be on our side list. Nothing really too special about it just yet. If you did well on the stock yesterday, if you did well on the stock within the last 1 month, I am certain that you'll be more inclined to put it on your personal watch list either way. But what we'll do now is go across the gainers and losers list. We'll come back to our side list trades in just a moment. All right. Like I said, Face for Radio this morning. If you're joining us on YouTube, Facebook Live, we'll be good to go for Traders Talk. Got the hot tag from Fausto like 5 minutes before this meeting. So ANNX ended up making a nice little pop earlier, but lower highs. And it did make a local lower low, broke below a little support line here at least. What's the news out on this stock? I didn't even care to check. I'm sure Rich posted it earlier, but a lot of chat going on earlier today. My apologies. I ended up forgetting there. So ANNX. Ooh, actually, how about this? This is some good stuff here. Not just phase 1, not just phase 2, but phase 3 primary endpoint for Guillain-Barré syndrome, my speech impediment. But nevertheless, phase 3 is pretty good. They're still not fully there at FDA approval yet, but it's interesting. They're only up 37, 38% with that news in mind. So it leads you to think why. Normally with phase 3 news, it typically would be up a lot more. So it leads me to think, A, there's a chance that this just keeps dumping off and it's a complete pop and drop type of deal. Or there could be a lot more left to it from this point. So if we happen to build support from right here, build back up towards 650, that could be a real shot. So either way, we're going to give this a chance. Put this on our watch list here. ANNX off phase 3, primary endpoint news. Oh, actually, how about this? This is why we have to read a little bit further. Read in between the lines, perhaps, right? ANNX says their drug outperformed placebo. However, it was not statistically significant on the primary endpoint at week 8. Well, they said they met its primary endpoint, so I guess there had to have been a much deeper headline to it. So maybe that's not too much to worry about. This is the whole big deal for any of my pharmacists, scientists out there. Probably like 1,000 words that I can't pronounce in that whole thing. So, yep, we're not going to do that. But ANNX, we're going to keep on our watch list in hopes of this building support. But hey, you know what? That last little snippet to the headline there, I guess they met their primary endpoint, but they said it wasn't statistically significant at the 8th week. I don't know if they're expecting it before that, whatever. But we'll keep going for right now. It's on our list. CORZ, CORZ, not CORZ Light. New IPO, I reckon, from last year. Or not even last year, the last month even. Beginning of this year. Beginning of this calendar year, late January, I guess it declared, but dropped off, pushed back up. We'll check the news out one more time for this stock, at least. Not going to break the news on every trade here today, folks. We got to make sure our students are ready for the market open, as well as myself. But CORZ Scientific shares trading higher after the company announced the signing of a series of 12-year contracts with CoreWeave, and I guess another company. I'm not sure of the terms, the specifics, but led to a nice little pop at the crack of dawn early this morning, even before the crack of dawn, but ended up leading to a pullback afterwards. I'll put it on our list, right? It's still up a lot, you could say, percentage-wise. Perhaps with the daily chart there being a new IPO, it looks pretty strong, pretty close to all-time highs. And actually, it's right there. Shoot, look at that. 610 was the previous all-time high back in late Jan. So even right now, it's actually above that point. So there is some history to work. pre-market trading. It's not like it's from the daily chart, but just you need to study the volume from the pre-market here, study the levels in which the stock was trading from here. I'll give you one level right now. I just say 692. That looks pretty strong, like a chart level from early this morning. Held it just recently here. So a little chop, but I would say 692. And then your whole number level right above that at 7. That should be a pretty good combined area of resistance ahead. FGen flat. This thing's been dead all morning. We'll trade it if we see a good reason to. SGBX, same deal. Marin, maybe that goes. Maybe not. I don't like the word maybe. I like to be pretty definitive with putting stocks on our watch list here, right? So a lot of garbage out there, huh? And just run the scan again, I guess. Maybe some new stocks may have popped up. Why my? It's a cheapie, but it is kind of breaking over $1 this morning. So you know my deal at this point on stocks right around that $1 threshold. It's above $1 right now. We'll take it. So I guess we'll add YMI to our list in hopes of more traders catching on to this one here. But I know a little flat. It's up 18% and right over 1. So that's a good sign still. GPCR, like we had said previously, this thing is flat and this thing is not worth it. It was a great trade from yesterday. If we do happen to see it pop once more today, then then at that point we'll call it out. But there's better trades to work with so far. We made a killing on MLGO just earlier, before 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock. The ANNX trade is pretty interesting. So those are stocks I'd rather prioritize than this. Than this thing here. All right. So, hey, if anything else is looking good on the way up, just type it in the chat board for all of us on YouTube. Once again, live workshop later on today at 11 o'clock Eastern time. That goes across the board. If you're inside our live trading room, you don't need to go anywhere. Just stay right there, and we'll begin right there for you at 11 o'clock. And on YouTube at Cyber Trading You, just make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button right there, lower left. But we'll be back on stream later on this morning at 11 o'clock, 11:05 Eastern. We'll begin. All right, stock from yesterday. We'll start off the losers list here. BPTH, pop and drop stock over the years that I've traded it. No surprise here. It tried to flip resistance that we took as support, but couldn't make the higher high. So ended up beginning to pull back and now just tanked. Just here, this I'll actually pull up really fast from Benzinga just with the news, because with a lot of these cheap stocks like this, we always see them tank after. Well, oftentimes, and I might have egg in my face if I'm wrong here. So, but oftentimes it is because, well, A, natural sell-off, but B, common stock or direct stock offering. Here we go. I did not look up the news before this, I swear. Hand up. Bet my entire trading account online there. So, announces a $4 million private placement of 1.8 million shares of common stock priced at $2.21. Not surprising. Anytime you get this massive spike down, that's what I assume the news to be pretty much after a run up. Axe, not like Axe, the predominant market maker back in the early days, but keep it going. What else we got here? Envas I got out of from after hours yesterday. Took some money there, but it's not going anywhere right now. So, I'm going to scrap this from our list for the time being. If this ends up making a pop after the open, I'll likely call it out. But, even such, like I'll prioritize the ANNX trade first. I'll prioritize the MLGO trade first. So not much else looking good from the losers list right now here, folks. So for Warren, for all of us on YouTube right now, actually, just let me know if anything else is looking good from your perspective, from your eye, anything that you want me to look at. Then otherwise, inside our live trading room, same deal. SPY taking a turn south. Nah, we're going up right now, it looks like. Hopefully this doesn't pull back, but looking pretty good so far. MLGO at 5. There you go. Nice. Very nice. Grant saying, or I'm sorry, Andrea saying he had GBS 30 years ago. GBS. That may have been from earlier chat right there, I think. YMI and MLGO in a partnership, says Joyce. There we go. So I guess combined, both of those trades together, they're not merging, just they're a partnership. So I'll look up the news more on that after we finish up this meeting, but I appreciate that from Joyce. I want to find more about that. Interesting there. So MLGO looking pretty good. Oh, GBS, Julian Barr syndrome. You know what's funny? I told you yesterday I stopped drinking my energy drinks, trying to reduce my caffeine limit. Yeah, that's what happens. That's the end result there of that, Samuel. So, with that in mind, I think that's my cue to finish up. Want to make sure that all of us, myself included, have enough time to prep up our levels, be sure that we're good to go. Really quick, if you're on Thinkorswim, are you still having that issue? A few of us were having an issue early this morning with Thinkorswim. I had a few chats privately from students, like kind of worried. And then in the main chat, thankfully, a few of us were shouting it out. So, my students in private realized it's not just them. It's kind of a system-wide thing there. Lee says Thinkorswim is now up. Okay, good. Just want to make sure that's the case for everyone. Is everyone else good to go? I know Abdul had an issue. I know a few of us had an issue early this morning. Ray, Patrick, good to go? Cool. Very nice. All right, that's good. Excellent. All right, so I'm happy to hear that. Now, with that in mind, folks, again, last call on Traders Talk. Any questions that you got for myself, feel free to shoot me over a quick email, josh@c2trading.com. We'll begin that at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I don't have a pretty mug, but I'll be showing my mug at least by then at that point for Traders Talk. Got a face for radio right now, like I've been saying. But with that in mind, folks, hey, best of luck trading going into the market open. And then, hey, for all of us inside our trading room there, I'll be back on. Just give me about 15 or so minutes right once the market opens up. We'll continue the audio broadcast from there.